So now, again, Val, I'm going to introduce Val. Now, again, I think everyone knows who Val is, because she has absolutely been at the kind of the forefront of helping people pick their way through the fun and games of what's been happening over the last few months. So I guess, Val, the thing that was particularly interesting to me was you've done in fact, I think quite a few of your team are on this call just now, are they not?
Yeah.
But I guess as we kind of head into the 90-day planning process, I was keen for Val to share with you her approach and what our plan looks like, but also her approach to how she involves others in the team to then bring about the 90-day plan. Because it's blooming hard work when you try and foist upon other people who haven't had any input into the plan. So therefore, the idea of building engagement and input from others is really helpful. So Val, I'll not steal any more of your thunder and invite you to the stage. So thank you, Val.
Well, I was going to say thanks to Michael for dropping the baton on the old PowerPoint thing, but you've introduced a blooming video. Thanks for that. Follow that, Val. I don't have any PowerPoints or any videos, and I'm an accountant. How boring. Anyway, I'll try and not bore you to tears. And two of my team are actually on this call. I could get them to do it instead of me, but I think they'd probably kill me, actually, or never speak to me again anyway. So it's up to the high I to do it. So what we do is every quarter, well, I say this with a caveat because actually we didn't do it in March, April, when we would usually do the end of the first quarter, because, well, a certain thing called COVID hit. So we kind of, all of a sudden it was all hands on deck, and actually we missed our planning slot for the next quarter. And we became reactive rather than proactive. But usually what we do is we have the all scheduled into the diary every quarter, and we all meet as a team. And Alan helps us with this, he facilitates it. And we start off, each session usually doesn't take more than about an hour and a half. We start off with a whiffle, because Alan likes a whiffle, as you know. And once we've whiffled, we actually just all get a bunch of Post-its, and we sit and think about everything that's gone well in the last quarter. And we all sit on our own and write down all the things that went well and that we are proud of and that we're happy about. Now, obviously, we did this on Zoom, the last one we did last week. So we didn't have the old Post-its thing going on, but we just wrote in the chat box privately to Alan all the things that we'd thought had gone well. And the reason for doing that is really so that you don't influence, you don't get influenced by what everybody else is writing. You're actually thinking your own thoughts about it. And then we do the same exercise, but for what we think is going to go well next quarter, going to go better next quarter. So things that maybe we've not done that we wanted to do, or ideas that we've had of things that we might want to change. And so again, everybody does it privately and gathers their thoughts for a bit. And then each person kind of takes the stage for 5 minutes or so and stands up in front of everybody else and tells them what their thoughts were. So we start off with the celebrations. So we start off with what went well. And there's quite a lot of themes obviously run through, but occasionally someone will think of something different that everybody else has forgotten about, and we'll all pat ourselves on the back and go, oh yeah, we did that as well. That was really good. Well done. And then we move on to, right, what's going to go better next time? So because we've started with a kind of celebration of all the things that we've done that we're proud of, it doesn't feel like quite such an onerous task to think of all the things that you're going to do better next time. And also, you feel like you're not beating yourself up. You're just looking in a positive way towards what comes next. And from that, once everybody's presented what it is they're presenting, if we're together and we've got a flip chart, we've got all the Post-its up on the flip chart, and we gather them into the various themes that there are about what we're going to do next time. And we then take that information away from the meeting with us to do the actual plan for the quarter. And before we wrap up the meeting, we actually have a catch up on how we are doing compared to the plan that we did at the start of the year, because we have the big plan that we do at the start of January every year for the whole year. And we take a look back at that and see, well, is there anything that we've sort of forgotten about? Is there anything that needs changed or discarded on that? Or is there anything that needs added to it? So that it's not just a fixed plan. And, you know, as Brad said at the start of all this pandemic outbreak, he said, you know, whatever the plan for 2020 was, it's changed. It's not that anymore. So it's really important that we review and make sure that it's still appropriate to where we want to go and what we want to do. And after all that's done, we basically take away all the bits of paper and bits of information. And then perhaps at Growth Club, if it fits in with Growth Club timing, we then start to slot everything, all the things that we've got to do into our little chart for the next 3 months. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'll share you the one that we did for the first quarter of this year, just to show just the way that we go about it, so that you can all see it. Am I allowed to share, Alan?
You should be, yeah. Yeah.
Hang on a second. So can you see the 90-day plan there?
Yeah.
That's just basically out of that worksheet that Alan sends us all, that's got your 2020 goals and all the rest of it, and focus sheets and things on it. And just start filling in. You know, we've got the overall plans that we've got for the quarter, and we just start filling in what are the various tasks that are underneath that, and they can be as small or as big as you want them to be, really, because there's some really tiny things in there. And just to give you an example, we know that January for us is a living hell, and we don't get any on the business work done in January at all, because we're so busy doing tax returns for all our lovely clients who've left it to the last minute. So January is just a write-off. So just basically said, right, we're not going to do any of this stuff in January, so there's no point in kidding ourselves on that we are. So write it off and say there's no on the business stuff happening in January. And then just put in the weeks and start filling in, you know, the boxes. The blue boxes are when we plan to do something. And then as we go along each week, what I was doing was basically just highlighting in yellow when something had been done, so that we know what's been done and what's still to do. Obviously, you can see that at the start of March, nothing happened, because we went into full COVID, furlough, bounce back, grant application, cash flow forecasting mode, and just forgot all about all the stuff that we were doing for our business. So all of these things just got forgotten about, basically. But generally, that's what we would do. Now, we used to have the wall chart on the wall, and actually tick it off each month or each week. And when we have our practice meeting during the course of the week, we'd refer to the chart and tick off whatever had been done that was supposed to be done that week, or if it hadn't been done, talk about why it hadn't been done and when, how, and who would do it. And you can see here that there's a wee column called Who, so it's not just me that's in there, it's not just my name that's against all of that, but it's various team members' name that's with it. And I'll just stop my share. And I guess this comes from a culmination, therefore, of all the team, rather than just me deciding that these are our plans and that's what we're going to do, and then coming back and trying to sell it to the team, which is how I started out doing this all when I very first started doing Growth Club and everything. Now, Elaine, you've been coming to Growth Club for the last 4 or 5 with me now, and before we do it, we always have our team quarterly review meetings so that we know when we're there what it is that we're going to be working on, and what it is that we need to slot into the various weeks. So I guess it just puts us in a good place to know that the whole team have contributed towards what it is that the plan is going to be for going forward. And it gives you something to, we're accountants, we like to tick a thing off when we've done it. So it gives you a thing to tick off and say, right, that's that completed. or not, as the case may be. So that's that, really. Apologies, no PowerPoints, no videos.
No, it was perfect. Perfect, Val. Thank you. So, yeah, claps all around. So, I guess in that as well, what struck you around Val and the team's approach? Just let's, in the chat box, please, what strikes you? Because again, there might be some major things that you spotted, maybe some little things as well, and I wouldn't mind kind of spotting some of the smaller things as well that are interesting. Yeah, Ali, sorry, Val, you read them out, please.
Oh, sorry. Where are we? This is great as everyone can access it from home. Yeah, now it is. Well, it was on a wall chart before, but it's not anymore. And yeah, people can work remotely on it. The ability to track progress is good, consistent, good team involvement. Ali, you love ticks as well. Good lad. Ian, all in it together and not 100% all on the business owner. Very important, obviously. Wayne, togetherness and doing the plan is great. Yep, couldn't agree more. Kira, getting everyone involved, which is what we also do, means more chance of getting it completed. I think that's a really important point, actually, Kira. I think you're absolutely right. Much more chance of things getting done if it comes from the team, because it's things that they want to do rather than just things I want them to do. Ali, love that it's about team ownership. Graham, also team involvement on the 90-day. Ali, Robin, emotional involvement of the team with Whiffle and what went well. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, really importantly, my team members, I'm sure will say here, they all say to me afterwards, I feel really positive and upbeat after that. Everybody really enjoys it. They go away from it feeling, really quite in a good mood. Celsius, shared task and empowering the team with on the business decisions, and the team taking accountability from move on. Yep, agree with all of them.
Yeah, so loads of great things in there as well. Just and probably the two little builds I'll just provide here. One is what did Val say about January?
Write it off.
Yeah, write off. Yeah.
Right. So that now in the plan that was a completely blank set of columns, right? So from that point of view, get real about the planning. You're going to have potentially some holidays coming up in the next 90 days. You're not going to be around maybe for I don't know what you'll be doing, but you might just say, I'm not working for a week or 2 weeks. Fine. Well, just don't put anything in for those 2 weeks. Be real. I think that's the most important. A lot of people are very unrealistic when it comes to planning. Oh, I'll get it done. Well, no, you won't. No, you won't. So again, I would rather you had a lighter plan that you then looked back on and said, flipping out, we've managed to smash through that and achieve it all, rather than get disheartened when you've built in some stuff that you were never going to do anyway, and then you just think, nah, bugger it, this planning thing doesn't work. It does work, but you have to kind of put together a sensible plan. So I think that's point one. And then point two, which is I think the benefit of actually having, and I think, Claire, you've mentioned this, on a spreadsheet, even versus the wall planner, is that it becomes much more accessible for everyone. I think you've pointed that out. But then the job is, if you've done a nice plan that's everyone's contributed to, the who does what by when, all that's kind of articulated well. Really, the job of Val in this instance, her job is to do a thing called manage the columns, because you just have to say, which week are we in? Okay, did everyone do? Are we up to date so far? Everything that's effectively, well, what would that be to the right hand side of the column? Have we done all those things? If not, let's course correct. What's in the column for this week? What does everyone have to do? Is it on your list, folks? When are you going to get time to do it? Just to make sure, and that kind of weekly check-in on the plan really helps. So it's
Can I just say something there?
Yeah.
Also, is doing that. It's not a question of beat yourself up because you didn't do it. because things happen. Well, obviously big things happen, but also small things happen that mean that you can't do things, or things change or whatever.
Yeah.
But it keeps it, if you're going back to the plan, it keeps it in your mind, and it keeps it, it's starting off with looking at, well, we didn't do that, but we did that. And so actually that was really good. So let's focus on getting this bit done next. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about how do we reprioritize and refocus for going forward. That's what it's really helpful for.
Yeah, perfect.